today we're going to talk about another hot topic out here. And the one I've chosen to talk about is Porsha Williams. I've been trying not to talk about it. I remember when I first heard about Porsha Williams' divorce and I heard about her prenup, I said, ooh, that's a bad prenup. It's a bad prenup. And I know that everybody thought Porsha was winning when she got the prenup upheld. And I said, that's a bad, bad prenup. Okay. Let me tell you something. And we're going to get into this new debacle where she got a lien put on this mansion. I don't know why Porsha is trying to hold on to this mansion. Probably because she wants to steal Simon's life. Whoa, I got to get into it about Porsha Williams. She is a taker and a user. And this has been going on for years, y'all. Years, y'all. So first of all, before I get into her bad prenup, I want y'all to remember that Porsha is a taker and a user. She has been one since day one. Now, does that mean she ain't good at it sometimes? Yeah, but she ain't really good at it. She thinks she's good at it, but she's not. In the end, Porsha always loses in the end. Always loses in the end because she thinks she's smart, but she's not. She never has been smart. So first of all, the one thing about Porsha is when she sees money or she sees something she wants, she goes after it. So can you call her persistent? Yes. Can you call her diligent? Yes. Can you say that she works hard to go after what she wants? Yes. But she disregards everything going on and all she looks at is what she wants out of the deal. Let me tell you, when we first got introduced to Porsha Williams back when she was married to Kordell Stewart, what you remember is she came on Real Housewives of Atlanta. Porsha Williams was kind of being the dutiful housewife that Kordell Stewart wanted. They had pretty much laid out their life that this was the role that Porsha played. This is the role that Kordell wanted her to play. And whether or not y'all believe that was a good role or not, it was the role that they agreed to. It was the role that Porsha agreed to in order to be married to Kordell. That's what she did. She played the role to get what she wanted. Well, after she came on Real Housewives of Atlanta, and she started making her own money, she started to say, I really don't need Kordell's money as much anymore because now I make my own money, so maybe I don't have to listen to him no more. She also started to see, well, look at all these other housewives. They're outspoken. They can do whatever the hell they want to do. So maybe what I can do is do whatever the hell I want to do too. And next thing you know, Kordell said, that's fine. If that's the life you want, that was not what we agreed upon. That's not the wife I wanted. So you can get to stepping. So there you go. She got kicked out of the house on the street and she was left with nothing. Okay. And people can be mad at Kordell Stewart, but I'm going to go back. You guys are going to see the pattern with Porsha. And that is Porsha does and says what she needs to say and do to get what she wants. And then when she gets what she wants out of you, she disposes you. Period. Point blank. I'm going to tell you, it happened with Kordell. Whether you like Kordell or not, Porsha was the one within the relationship that changed, that pivoted, that went in a new direction. And some of you might want to say she grew up, she learned a few lessons. She didn't learn nothing. Everybody thinks she learned a new lesson by not getting a part of Kordell's house. Why should she get a part of Kordell's house? Kordell owned that stuff way before she was married to him. Way before. So if you're not convinced then that Porsha is a user or taker, what happened next? Well, what happened next was she came upon her baby daddy, Dennis. And Porsha has said it more than many of times. She has said the minute that she saw Dennis, that Dennis was a franchise owner of all these hot dog stands, and Dennis didn't have no babies, Porsha said right away, what did she say? Her legs went wide open. Her legs went wide open because she was over there trying to get what she wanted to get. And she knew what she needed to do in order to get Dennis. And once she got what she wanted to get out of Dennis, then she says, I'm done with you. I don't need you no more. Just give me the child support and I'm good. I am real, real good. I know a lot of y'all ain't convinced yet. That's why that mama didn't like her. That's why Dennis's mama didn't like her in the first place. Because that mama sniffed out from the very beginning that Porsha is a user and a taker and her mama didn't like her. But some of you can't be convinced of it. None of you are convinced that Porsha plots these things, that she's a user and she's a taker. Now, remember when Porsha had the big falling out with Kandi during the Real Housewives of Atlanta seasons? I'm gonna tell you right now, and I knew when it was gonna go bad. I stopped watching the Real Housewives of Atlanta, but I remember years ago when Porsha first came on the Housewives, and there was a fireside chat amongst all the men, and they were talking about who was the hottest housewives. And you know who Todd picked as the baddest housewife? He didn't pick his own wife. He picked Porsha. And it was on that day that I knew Porsha and Kandi were going to have a beef. Because what Porsha knew right then and there was, your man thinks I'm the baddest housewives on Real Housewives of Atlanta, and Kandi couldn't stand it. And I knew right then and there Porsha was going to be rubbing it in Candi's face, was going to create beef with Kandi, and Kandi was going to have beef with a Porsha. And from there, it went bad and it never, ever recovered. But some of y'all might not be convinced. And if you're not convinced that Porsha used Kordell Stewart, that Porsha used Dennis for his sperm, and you're not convinced over those two things, I'm going to tell you right now, Porsha used Shamia for a storyline this year. Hear me out. First of all, after Porsha got married to Simon Guobadia, she already knew her marriage was falling apart. She knew it. And she knew she was going to be out single again. And so what she was saying is, I better bring in some income. So what Porsha did was use Bravo. That's right, she sure did. She went to Bravo and sold them a fake storyline and said, I'm going to be on the show. I'm going to bring my big headliner, new life, my fabulous life that I'm living with Simon Guobadia, and I'm going to bring it to Bravo TV. And Bravo came around and said, yeah, Porsha, we want you back, and we're going to pay you a whole lot of money. But the minute she got that check signed, that contract signed with Bravo, what did then she did? She said, I'm getting a divorce. What? You mean you took and used Bravo and you not even bringing the storyline that they wanted, which was you and Simon Guobadia? Yep, she ain't bringing it to the show. So then what happens? Bravo's mad. They hotter than fish grease. They say, wait a minute. You told us this was a storyline you was going to bring, and now all of a sudden, not only are you not going to be married, Simon's going to be deported. He ain't even going to be on the show. That's right. That's right. So what is Miss Porsha Williams does? She says, you know what? But you know who can take the place? Shamia. I'll bring me and Shamia's relationship to the Bravo network. I know Shamia has been wanting to be on the show for a long time. Shamia has been wanting to peach for a long time. Isn't it ironic that the year when Porsha does not have a storyline, all of a sudden Shamia gets a peach? You know why? Because what Porsha decided was, I will use Shamia for a storyline because I can't bring the Simon storyline to the table. So let me go over here and get my friend. Let me use her and take from her and get her on the show. So then I can solidify my spot on the Bravo Real Housewives of Atlanta season, whatever we on, 17, 18. And the minute Shamia gets on the show, guess what happens? You know what Porsha doesn't need anymore? She don't need Shamia. And the relationship goes left. It goes downhill. Does this mean that Shamia is perfect? No, it doesn't mean that Shamia is perfect. And does this mean that Shamia herself didn't want to be on the show? I think she did. I think she's been wanting to be on the show a long time. But isn't it ironic that she never got on the show? Who was blocking her from the show? Who wasn't supporting her? I suspect it was Porsha Williams. But once Porsha needed her and needed her storyline, guess what? She was on the show. We're all familiar with how Porsha got Simon Guobadia because she saw what she wanted. She saw the life that Simon was living, and she wanted it. She wanted it. She went after it. That girl, Fallon, whatever her name was, that divorce, the ink wasn't even dry. They had barely broken up. And Miss Taker, Porsha Williams, was right there waiting in the sidelines to get right back in Simon's text and DMs as soon as she can, talking about, I'm praying for you. She started weaving her web. So then when she decided, I want Simon's life. Right now, Porsha is over there squatting in a house that she was barely married to this man for a year, and she's squatting in the house. And so now, what does any good landlord do when you got a squatter in your house? You start cutting off all the luxuries. And so what Simon's saying, I ain't paying nothing over there. Not a dime. Not a dime. I'm not paying for no squatter. You're not going to film in my house. I'm not paying for no gas, electricity. I'm not paying no doggone mortgage. I'm not paying you $40,000 a month. I'm not paying you everything. And Porsha is over there squatting in the house because what she wanted all along was Simon's lifestyle, his millionaire lifestyle. Whether he's a scammer or not, she wanted it. She doesn't care. She doesn't care all the other flaws about you. She just wants what you have. She wanted Real Housewives lives. She wanted what Shamia has. She wanted what Candy had with Todd. She wanted what Fallon had with Simon Guobadia. And when Porsha wants something, she already told us what she does. She opens up her legs and tries to seal the deal. Well, guess what? Guess what? Just like she was in all these other rendezvous that she had where she was going around trying to steal and thieve and scam someone, she ended up coming in with the bad end of the stick. When she was with Kordell Stewart, she got the bad end of the stick. When he left her, she got the bad end of the stick. The whole blow up with Candy, she got the bad end of the stick. In the end, she got removed from the television show. In fact, all that dungeon talk, she almost got sued. Okay. And even in this situation with Shamia, she's getting the bad end of the stick because Shamia has a good life. Shamia is married with a husband and a family. She got everything that Porsha doesn't have. And now here with Simon Guobadia, she got the bad end of the stick because let me tell you something. As everyone's been saying, you can't scam a scammer. You can't thieve more than a thiever. And Simon Guobadia is smarter, quicker, and more adept at this than Porsha is. And I'm not mad at Simon Guobadia because what he did was he did the math. He says, you really think I'm going to give you half of this house plus pay you $40,000 plus pay the mortgage on this place for 3 years? You really think I'm going to do that? You are absolutely bananas if you thought I was going to do that. And what Simon did was anybody I owe in the whole United States, you can get your money out this house. And instead of Porsha being to live there for 3 years rent-free, no bills, guess what, Porsha? People got liens on this house, and guess what they're going to do? They're not going to wait 3 years to collect. They're going to force you to sell that house sooner because they want to get paid. Not only does Porsha's attorney have a lien on the house, so does Simon's attorney. Because you see, these divorces cost a lot of money. Each of these attorneys are asking for $200,000 in legal fees. And when Porsha's attorney took her case, he knew she didn't have no money. He knew it. But what he said was, I know I can collect because you're going to get half this house, half the equity in the house. So he said, I know I can collect my money by putting a lien on the house. So what I'll do, Porsha, is I won't ask you to pay me the $200,000. I'm going to put a lien. But guess what? That attorney's going to want his money. And the truth of the matter is, although Simon has been ordered to pay her legal fees, it does not mean that an attorney has to wait for Simon. He can also go after Porsha's assets, and that's what he's doing. You see, because Porsha is the one that signed the contract with the attorney. So technically, Porsha owes the attorney, and then what Porsha's supposed to do is get Simon to pay her back for the fees that she had to pay to her attorney. But Porsha is the one that has to pay for the attorney. So, and then Simon is supposed to pay her back. But that attorney don't got to wait on Simon. Absolutely not. He don't have to wait on Simon. He can afford getting his money from Porsha too. She sure does have to sell it. She's sitting over there living in Simon's house. She's sitting over there paying a mortgage over there in Duluth. And so she's thinking, I'm going to sell this Duluth house. So what? You can have a little money in order to maybe to refinance that mansion over there. No, that's not what Porsha's doing. Porsha already knows that she does not have enough money to finance that mansion and pay off all those people. She already knows it. My estimation, my guess is that Porsha's going broke, period, point blank. I wouldn't be surprised if that Rolls Royce she riding around gets repossessed, because I don't think Simon paid cash for it. I don't believe that Simon paid cash for that Rolls Royce. More than likely, he leased it. He might have paid a lease up front. More than likely, he might have put some down payment money on it. But it's my belief that that's going to run out. And when that runs out, Porsha going to have to give up that Rolls Royce too. That's just my belief. But why did Porsha get caught on the short end of the stick again? Because Porsha did what people that don't know about money do. She made a bad contract from the very beginning. That prenup from the very beginning was a bad prenup, and I'm going to tell you why I knew it was a bad prenup. First of all, in that prenup, let me tell you something about a contract. First of all, a contract has to be enforced. And if a contract's not being enforced, you have means to then go back and sue the person for a breach of contract. But here's the rub. You can't get nothing from someone in a breach of contract if three things are going on. First of all, if you enter into a contract with a minor and the minor breaches the contract, guess what? You have no recourse. You have no recourse. You can't sue a minor. If you rent an apartment to a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old and all of a sudden they stop paying, you've got no recourse. That's why landlords want an adult on the contract, because then they can go after the adult. Student loans, all types of things. You cannot sue minors. So if you ever enter a contract with a minor, best be known that so what? If they screw you, you got little to no recourse. The second person you do not sign a contract with, a broke person. A broke person. What good is it to sue a broke person? So what if you get a judgment? So what if the judge rules in your favor? If they're broke, you can't collect. That's part of the reason why Porsha's here right now. So what if she has a judgment? So what if the court has ordered Simon to do certain things? He ain't got to do it, because that leads me to the third person that a contract with is kind of ridiculous. A person, a foreign entity, a person that don't even live in the United States. That's Simon. So all this time, here is Porsha running around signing contracts with people and things with Simon, when in the end, there was nothing to enforce, because Simon's only asset in the United States was that house. And Simon got a whole lot of other bills in the U.S. I wouldn't be surprised, besides these attorney fees, if there are other bills with Porsha and Simon in the U.S. And as long as they were married, if Simon ran up any other bills during the term of their marriage, that house could also get a lien from other creditors. Absolutely. So what is Porsha left with now? A piece of property with no equity in it. You know what her big mistake was in that prenup? She should have asked for cash in an account. That's what she should have asked. Just like a landlord, if they enter into an agreement with one of those three categories, like I said, an international entity that you wouldn't be able to sue, a broke person who gets paid under the table that don't have no W-2, you can never garnish wages, or a minor in which you can never sue, what you ask for is cash up front, and you will hold it in an account as a deposit. That way, if any of those three people, a foreign entity, a minor, or a broke person, decides to breach your contract, at least you have deposit money you can keep. What Porsha didn't do with Simon Guobadia, she should have asked for a whole separate account, and she should have asked Simon to deposit cash into that account with her name on it. With her name on it. And she could have had his name on it too, but what would have happened was no one can take out money of that account without both signatures. And then that way, when they got a divorce, the account would have been frozen, and then the judge would have said to Porsha, okay, the money that was in the prenup, you go ahead and pull your half out, Porsha, and you can keep it. Then at least Porsha would have had cash. But you know what? Porsha was greedy. Really, really greedy, because what she wanted was she wanted half of a $7 million house in which she had put no sweat equity in. She hadn't done a damn thing except this. And she went after the big fish. And in the end, she was left with nothing. Nothing. And I believe all the time that Porsha was living this high life with Simon Guobadia. Do I think Simon Guobadia was paying everything for Porsha? I don't think so. What I believe Porsha was doing was Porsha was spending a whole lot of her own money on herself, living the high life, clothes, fashion, stylists, makeup people. She was spending all her Bravo money. She wasn't saving any of her Bravo money at all, because what Porsha's thinking is, I done hooked up with a money tree and the money gonna keep flowing, so I don't need to worry about my money. I'm over here spending money on my mama, my kid, employing my sister, doing everything. She didn't save a dime. And then when this divorce happened, all that money dried up, so I think Porsha's broke. I sure do. I think she is broke. And the reason she's selling her house, not because she's trying to refinance that mansion. I don't think so. She ain't got enough money to do that. I think Porsha's trying to sell her house to pay off some of the debt that she has. And she gonna come back to Real Housewives of Atlanta because she ain't got no other job. Just like we seen with all these Real Housewives of Atlanta. The minute they leave the show, their money dries up. Because very few of them got real talent. Very few of them. And when it comes to Porsha Williams, really, her biggest talent is this. That's what it is. So do I feel sorry for Porsha? No, I don't. Because Porsha has been doing this for years on end and years on end. And every time she enters in one of these scams, thieving situations, trying to take from somebody, she gets the raw end of the stick. Well, Porsha, you lay down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. There you go. Good luck to you, girl. Good luck.